Welcome back to another Full Build Friday, where I'm filling out a request made right here on the YouTube channel. I try to get to requests as quick as I can, but I do have to slot in some builds that interest me now and again, to help keep me invested. This time though, we're taking a short detour into the lands of Lol to present Veigar, the tiny Master of Evil.
Hey, is that a short joke?
Before we get into it, I would appreciate it if you could give the video a like and maybe subscribe to the channel. That said, let's look at some build goals. One of the Yorls, Veigar came to the human world to learn celestial magic, but with his talent for mysticism, he was forced to become a thrall of Mordekaiser, who tortured and broke the unfortunate soul. Mechanically, he's a burst mage, who uses his abilities to deal high and sudden amounts of damage. Through his phenomenal evil power passive, he continually increases his ability power by hitting or slaying enemy champions with his abilities. His Baleful Strike fires a bolt of dark energy that damages the first two enemies hit with it, while his Dark Matter calls down this matter from the sky after a short delay in a damaging blast. He also features some battlefield control with his Event Horizon, which creates a cage that stuns enemies who collide with its walls. Finally, he has Primordial Burst, which simply deals heavy damage to a unit, increased by their missing health. On top of all that, Veigar has a card in Legends of Runeterra that empowers Darkness cards, and has a mecha after leveling up. Now at first glance, Veigar seems pretty simple. He's a powerful mage associated with the stars and darkness between them. He does have an ability to entrap foes, but he's more about simply blasting them to pieces. However, a major goal in building Veigar will be figuring out how to represent the gathering power of his phenomenal evil. Let's get into it and see what we can do with that. When it comes to representing Yordles with an ancestry, I think the best option, hands down, is Gnome. Their association with Vandal City and the fact that their spirits return there resembles the gnomes and their association with the First World. Furthermore, Pathfinder gnomes can uniquely undergo the bleaching, which I think is a fantastic fit for Veigar's current state of being. I'd also likely go this route if I ever build Vex as well. Now, we can't fully represent the bleaching, but the Umbral heritage matches his own link to darkness. Related to this, he also has the Grim Insight Ancestry feat, turning his success on fear effects into crit successes. Because after everything Mordekaiser put him through, it's going to take a lot to scare him again. Finally, as a gnome, he has ability boost to Constitution and Charisma, but takes a fall to Strength. The free boost from his ancestry will increase his intelligence, setting him up for an archetype down the line. There was quite a bit to cover there, but his background should be a bit easier. While this diminutive dominator of darkness served unwillingly, he did serve Mordekaiser, and that can be represented through the cultist background. From this, he becomes trained in occultism and maybe Mordekaiser lore, and also gains the Schooled in Secrets skill feat. For his ability boost, he gets a boost to Charisma, and then takes another free boost to his Intelligence. That brings us to our class, and obviously we need to make Veigar a caster. After some debate internally and on the Monster Monday Discord, I settled on Sorcerer, with a class boost to Charisma. Furthermore, he is a sorcerer with the Diabolic Bloodline. This may seem strange, but I've got a reason behind each of these choices. Firstly, the Sorcerer class has the Sorceress Potency class feature, which means that as Veigar unleashes higher ranked spells, they deal more and more damage. Sort of similar to how landing spells increases his ability power and therefore his damage in League. As for the Diabolic Bloodline, I'll be honest, I was hoping the Shadow Bloodline had been remastered, but this one works in a pinch. The Divine Spell list isn't perfect, but it was better than my other options, and one thing that we're looking for here is his Diabolic Blood Magic. His Tongue of Flame triggers when casting a Sorcerer's Gift spell, or one that requires a focus point, and allows him to deal additional fire damage equal to the rank of the spell, matching his Sorcerer's Potency. By the time he starts slinging around 9th rank spells, we'll be doling out 18 extra damage with his Falling Stars before he rolls a single die. Speaking of spells, he gets Ignition right off the bat. We'll have a focus on damaging spells for his cantrips, and with his first rank spells, Harm is a quick pick that comes to mind. This is a basic but versatile spell, letting him dish out damage similar to his Darkness spell from Legends of Runeterra. To round out his first level, Veigar's Bloodline secures him training in Deception and Religion, while he takes his other skill increases to Acrobatics, Arcana, Athletics, Intimidation, and Stealth. He then takes ability boosts to Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Charisma. Veigar is going to want to pump up that Charisma to keep his spells potent, but Intelligence will be important for that aforementioned archetype, which we're going to go ahead and get into at 2nd level. Divine Magic is handy, but doesn't quite nail everything we need for Veigar's spells. We'll want to tap into some arcane magic, and to that end, we'll be taking a Wizard Dedication. This matches with him leaving Bandle City to study Celestial Magic, but given his nature as a Burst Mage, he'll have studied at the School of Battle Magic. Furthermore, he becomes trained in crafting with this archetype and gains 2 arcane cantrips. As for his skill feat, it's tough to find skills that I think really suit him, so I settled on Intimidating Glare. He's likely going to lean into his magic and intimidation skills, using the Demoralize action to debuff enemies before unleashing his devastating spells upon them. With his 3rd level, Veigar starts tapping into his signature spells, and also receives a skill increase to Arcana, making him an expert of it. From his 1st rank spells, I'd Signature Harm, and follow that up with a signatured Inner Radiance Torrent from his 2nd rank spells, giving him a line spell akin to how his Baleful Strike can hit multiple foes. Looking to his general feat, Veigar uses Adopted Ancestry for the Fetch Link. He doesn't exactly fit the whimsy and wonder of gnomes these days, so this gives him some other options for ancestry feats while still playing into his association with darkness. Veigar's looking at Sorcerer feats at 4th level, starting with the Spell Shaping Split Shot class feat, which lets him spend an action to hit 2 foes with a single attack spell. This perhaps better resembles his Baleful Strike, even if the 2nd hit doesn't deal quite as much damage. Though, if he uses this with Ignition, we'll get his damage boost from Tongue of Flame and Sorcerer's Potency, which is a nice little buff. With his skill feat, we'll take up Trick Magic Item. This references his Legends of Runeterra card a bit, where he's seen wielding a variety of magical items, and just makes him a mightier master of mysticism. Following on from there, he starts off 5th level with ability boost to his Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. That increase to his intelligence makes him trained in nature, and then he becomes an expert in occultism with his regular skill increase. He also becomes an expert in fortitude saves through Magical Fortitude. We are going to explore his gnome feats at least a little bit more with Theoretical Acumen, allowing him to get more use out of any actions that he takes to recall knowledge about creatures in a variety of ways. He taps into 3rd rank spells here, and one that stands out to me is Impending Doom. This, effectively, hangs a sword over an enemy's head, giving them a delay before damage comes down upon them, sharing some similarities to his Dark Matter ability. Another nice fit is Chilling Darkness, which just gives him a damaging dark sort of spell. He squeezes even more spells into his arsenal through the basic wizard spellcasting feat at 6th level, providing him with the Caster Classic Force Barrage, and then Summon Construct. The latter of these resembles his mecha from Legends of Runeterra, and is just a tiny nod towards that idea. As to his skill feat, Veigar values Vicious Critique because he desperately tries to be a little jerk, even if, sometimes, he falls a little short. This gives him a chance at trying to be so, and maybe even take advantage of that. An important feature at 7th level is Expert Spellcaster, meaning we'll see Veigar get a sudden jump in his spell DCs while he becomes a master in Arcana through a skill increase. After surviving Mordekaiser, Veigar is a shoo-in for the Die-Hard General feat, and can then look at Divine Wrath as one of his 4th rank spells. Following this, Cataclysmic Castigation on Conspirators can resemble the area effect of his Dark Matter, if not the delay associated with it. Getting into his 8th level, Veigar can take another spell shape in the form of Detonating Spell. It nets him some extra damage in there, but resembles an item such as Luden's Tempest more than it resembles any of his actual abilities. With his delving into the tomes as a wizard, he'll probably want to pick up the Magical Shorthand skill feat, so that he can learn spells more swiftly. Regarding these learned spells, he adds Gravity Well to his book, providing him with some area control inspired by his Event Horizon that doesn't quite match its effects. With Veigar's 9th level, he'll become an expert in reflex saves and a master of occultism. He takes shadow blending from his ancestry feats, letting him blend into shadows for some defensive effects, since we are after all still a squishy mage. Speaking of, our sinister and shadowy sage secures Inevitable Disaster and Shadow Blast for some extra blasting and a spell that'll follow foes anywhere. Looking at 10th level, Veigar takes ability boost to Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma. Then, I proceeded to learn that you don't need Advanced Bloodline to take Greater Bloodline as a class feat. So, I did that here to gain Hellfire Plume. Again, resembling the Dark Matter with the way it descends from the heavens. Or, I guess in this case, it's going in reverse. Following that, uses Bizarre Magic, making it difficult for enemies to identify his magic, and therefore, making it more difficult for them to counter him. As for his 11th level, he becomes an expert with his weapons, his perception, and his intimidation. To help him claim and wield more relics, our undersized overlord takes Incredible Investiture, which increases the number of items that he can invest in. Then, to better befit the barrier of his event horizon, he takes Blessed Boundary, creating a circular area that has the added bonus of dealing damage, but perhaps more importantly, can knock enemies back towards its center, forcing them to waste more actions. It's not perfect, but it's hard to otherwise fit the concept of the stunning wall that he creates. When he reaches 12th level, Veigar takes up Expert Wizard Spellcasting, so that he can heighten the spells he already knows, or find some more that he likes, probably searching for gravity or otherwise space-based spells. While this enhances his knowledge of spells, he also gains Disturbing Knowledge as his skill feat, letting him use that occultism skill that he's been investing in to debuff opponents. Though, with this being 2 actions, he might struggle to follow it up with his own spells, and instead will be doing this for his allies. Short in stature but stacked in said spells, this immoral Yordle gains defensive robes and weapon specialization at 13th level, along with mastery over his intimidation skill. The Shadow's Assault ancestry feat gives him an extra casting of Shadow Blast, that even scales as he levels, and it's nice when our blaster gets a bit more blasty. He can tap into some celestial spells this level with Eclipse Burst and Cosmic Form, even if they're a little out of sync with his abilities. For our Furry Fiend's 14th level, he'll take Arcane Breath as his class feat to cover his mastery over mysticism. To fit in better as a shadowy overlord, Veigar here has Group Coercion, so that he can command over a collection of quaking cowards, bending men and women to his will, just as he does the stars. Journeying on from there, we go to 15th level, which kicks off with ability boost to Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Once again, that increase to Intelligence earns him a new skill, making him trained in Society. He also becomes a legend in Arcana. Matching this management of Moxie, our mini-mage masters Mysticism with Master Spellcaster, and then picks up Incredible Initiative, so that he can call down the stars before his teammates get within blasting range. Rolling right into 16th level, Veigar uses Effortless Concentration, which we'll be able to use with the likes of Floating Flame, Invoke Spirits, or Awaken Entropy. If you don't see yourself making much use of these spells, you could also benefit from Overwhelming Energy to punch through the resistances of enemies, or Explosion Power for an emanating burst of damage. Then, with his legendary Arcana, he takes Unified Theory as his skill feat, so that he can just roll that for all his trick magic item actions, or to recall knowledge, and take advantage of his theoretical acumen. Coming in at Veigar's 17th level is Majestic Will, and a skill increase that makes him a legend in occultism. Finishing out his ancestry feats will be Pierce the Light, as he is far more aligned with the Shadow Plane these days than the First World. As he starts tapping into 9th rank spells, I really want to suggest Massacre. This spell comes with the Death trait, immediately slaying enemies if they hit 0 HP because of it, and dealing some solid damage in an attempt to match the execute and the effect of his Primordial Burst. Also, very super important at this rank is Falling Stars, allowing him to summon Celestial Shrapnel from the heavens. These spells, and the spells that he gains from his Wizard Archetype, are both Master Proficiency, thanks to his class. Regardless of that, he will still take Master Wizard Spellcasting as his 18th level class feat, which will just give him some more space-themed spells. With his skill feat here, I'm looking at Break Curse. I like to think of this as Veigar seeking how to break any lingering effects or holds that Mordekaiser might have left him with, shaking off the shackles of his shadowy master. As for his 19th level, Veigar becomes a legendary spellcaster and a bloodline paragon, as well as a legend in intimidation. Keeping it quick, he grabs Fleet as his general feat, which will hopefully help him not have to spend multiple stride actions to get in range to cast his spells. That just leaves us with 20th level, which starts with ability boost to Dexterity, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. For his final class feat, I considered a few options, and I think the best are either Spell Shape Mastery, letting him get more use out of Detonating Spell and Split Shot, or Bloodline Perfection, to gain another 10th rank spell slot. I think the second one fits a bit better with his Mastery of Magic, but both do work very well for him. To round out his skill feat selection, he of course takes Scare to Death. Aside from potentially allowing him to immediately execute an enemy, it is a single action that can still debuff a foe and set them up for spells, even if it doesn't kill them. With Veigar put together, it's time to figure out how to play him. Between his Tongue of Flame and Sorcerer's potency, our tiny Master of Evil excels at laying out damage. Using Split Shot or Detonating Spell on his single target spells changes them to multi-target effects, for when foes are grouped up, but he also has plenty of big guns, such as Divine Wrath, Hellfire Plume, and Eclipse Burst for when he needs it. Keeping enemies grouped up so that he can take advantage of these area effects is going to be very important, so spells such as Blessed Boundary and any wall spells that he picks up are going to be very useful. Finally, I would take advantage of his high charisma and intimidation investment to demoralize foes before he starts slinging spells. Reduce their saves or AC, and then unleash your more potent effects upon them. Now, if you want to take Veigar here into a free archetype game, he could expand on his wizard archetype, maybe getting into some wizard feats, but another option you could be looking at is an Oracle Dedication. You could use the Cosmos Mystery and delve deeper into that whole theme for his character. The Oatian Sky Sage is another great option to match this thematic, with the likes of Night's Glow, Starlit Spells, and Night's Shine, but is a more uncommon pick. With all that said, do we measure up to the might of this mage, or are his shoes just too big to fill? Let's review what we've built and figure that out. Veigar the Tiny Master of Evil is an Umbral Gnome Sorcerer of the Diabolic Bloodline, and the Cultist background. Gnomes serve well to represent Yordles, with Veigar's own turn towards darkness reflected by his Umbral heritage. This turn was precipitated by Mordekaiser, making the Master Mage his minion, and we can reflect that through his cultist background. The Sorcerer's class itself helps to make him resemble a Burst Mage with its Sorcerer's potency, which is also important for his phenomenal evil passive, accruing power based on the rank of the spells rather than gaining something like ability power. His Diabolic Bloodline and its Tongue of Flame blood magic also helps with this idea. Split Shot will let him hit 2 targets with spells such as Ignition or Phase Bolt, based off of his Baleful Strike. Impending Doom matches the slight delayed damage of his Dark Matter, whereas Hellfire Plume and Divine Wrath match the area effect called from the heavens that this ability is visualized as. He picks up some battlefield control for his Event Horizon, with options like Blessed Boundary, Gravity Well, and any wall-based spells that he might grab. Any big high damage spells suit Primordial Burst, but Massacre may best match the execution effect associated with it. Finally, while it's not the greatest of fits, he can call forth a mecha of some sort with his Wizard's Summon Construct, to bring to mind the machine that he rides in Legends of Runeterra. Even the Celestial Spheres shake and shudder at the summons of the spell-slinging short stuff. His severe sorceries swell in strength as he secures his assured supremacy over the stars, and the civilians that slumber beneath them. I had a lot of fun with this build, but be sure to let me know what you think of it, and what other builds you'd like to see in a comment. If you like what you see here and you want more, check out my other videos or the Monster Monday blog, which is linked below, along with the Twitter and Discord. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic Friday.